Warning: content may be too intense for young children and is not recommended for those under the age of 13. Discretion is advised.
A flickering camera lens struggles to find focus before finally settling on its subject, Casa Creación, an aged manor veiled in ivy and mist, nestled deep within the forest of countryside Spain, forgotten through time, yet unearthed by Sofía.
¡Qué belleza!
She murmured softly as she lowered her camera and soaked in the presence of the manor. Sofía was a bright young woman whose ambition was only outweighed by her own stubbornness. An artist at heart, she expressed her passion through photography, which led her to a career in journalism focused on relics of the past. Abandoned abodes, tales of tragedy and misfortune, the haunted. Like many struggling creatives, Sofía's journey in photojournalism had seen its share of highs and lows. Despite setbacks, she yearned to establish herself as an artist to be admired in her field. Yet, the challenges were leaving her desperate for a breakthrough, a story that would reignite her passion and breathe new life into her career. Casa Creación and its enigmatic former owner, Sergio Navarro, was exactly the story she had been searching for. Sofía planted her camera on a tripod, steadying it against the damp forest floor before hitting record. She positioned herself carefully within the frame.
Hola, mi nombre es Sofía. I've arrived at La Casa Creación. It's breathtaking. Though this is my first time visiting the manor, I've seen this place in my dreams, felt its presence. Its voice called out to me. Once a haven for the tortured artist, now left to wither in loneliness.
From deep within the woods, the distant squeal of a bat sliced through the silence. Sofía glanced away from the camera, her senses sharpening. The bat's call faded into the night, and she turned her attention back to the camera.
I'm here to investigate the story of the manor's most notable resident, Sergio Navarro, an artista from España of great prestige whose talents spanned across several mediums, sculpting, writing, woodwork, and most prominently, painting. An artist whose ambition drove him to madness over 100 years ago within these very grounds. Or so legend has it. Aside from whispers and local legends tied to the grounds I stand upon, no one really knows what happened to El Artista. But I'm determined to uncover the truth. What if it was his voice I heard in my dreams? His story deserves to be told, and his art deserves to live on.
The sky darkened with the promise of a thunderstorm. Sofía quickly packed her gear, camera poised and ready, and then made her way towards the manor. Though the front door was blanketed in a thick layer of rust and moss, its stained glass window still caught the fading light, casting vibrant shards of color across the clearing. She reached out cautiously to grasp the doorknob, but before her fingers could touch it, a sudden breeze nudged the door open. The shadows beyond beckoned her, and without hesitation, she stepped inside, eager to accept its eerie welcome. La Casa Creación had withstood the ravages of time. However, while its Spanish colonial structure mostly remained intact, many of the manor's ornate details were hidden beneath creeping vines and layers of neglect. Nevertheless, the house was a haunting testament to beauty preserved in decay. As she sank into the manor's shadows, Sofía felt the restless spirit of a creative mind undone by obsession. She stumbled upon an artist's studio, a chaotic sanctuary of broken dreams. Torn canvases were scattered across the dust-covered wooden floor, stained with dried streaks of black ink. Only one painting survived, a haunting piece that sent a chill down Sofía's spine. It was a portrait of La Casa Creación, crafted by the hands of Sergio Navarro. Sofía couldn't believe her eyes. Curious, she traced her finger across the canvas, and the paint was somehow fresh, leaving a streak of crimson on her skin. She stared at her hand in wonder, baffled that something so aged could feel as if it were just painted. Her concentration was shattered by an eerie whisper drifting from down the hallway.
Sofía.
Her hair stood on end and her heart froze, if only for a moment. Despite the uncertainty of what was transpiring, she moved cautiously down the dark hallway, each footstep met with the creak from the wooden floorboards. Oddly, the sconces along the manor's weathered walls still glowed faintly, their lights flickering unceremoniously. Sophia began to wonder if the stories surrounding this place were more than mere legend. Perhaps some lingering energy still permeated the grounds. Or her mind was seeing the things it wanted to see, triggering illusions from ghost tales. Either way, she was determined to uncover the truth. A beam of moonlight pierced through a glass window, illuminating a large open room at the hallway's end. It was 𝗵𝘂𝗵𝗂𝗵𝗂, the conservatory, a lush space shrouded in streaks of greenery and adorned with shattered stained glass. Nature had fully reclaimed this sanctuary. Thorny vines from the forest covered every surface. The conservatory was the dark heart of Casa Creación, radiating a presence that enthralled Sophia. The space felt alive, its pulse sinking with every footstep she took. Though she couldn't explain it, the mystique and beauty that engulfed her ignited a spark of inspiration, rekindling the ambitious flame she'd longed to find once again. Atop a wooden botany table was an aged journal bound tightly by vines that had grown over top it. Etched into the front cover were the initials 𝗪. Fascinated by her find, Sophia carefully untangled the journal from the overgrowth and held it firmly in her hands. As she opened the cover and flipped through the withered pages, she made an unbelievable discovery. It was the journal of Sergio Navarro. Humbled, yet innately curious, she turned to a page within the journal with an entry dated February 25th, 1884. She placed her backpack down on the ground and lost herself in the page.
Monday, February 25th, 1884. Hoy es el día, a day where I choose myself, mi arte, above all else. For too many years, I have surrendered my desires for the sake of others, and in doing so, I have paid a heavy toll, not in coin, but in creación. Once the most promised artista in 𝗀𝗬𝗪, now I am but a manager for a museum, uninspired to chase my own dreams, mis sueños. The passion that once burned inside of me lies dormant, and now I stand at a crossroads, both in my craft and in mi alma. I crave the hunger, the ache, the struggle. What is an artista if not one who suffers for his passion? No matter the consequences, I have chosen to pursue the fire that my work once lit within me. There's a manor hidden deep within the woods, just beyond 𝗀𝗬𝗪, left abandoned due to legend, La Casa Creación. And now it will be the place of my creative rebirth. Tomorrow, I will gather my things and depart the museum, sin dudas. The manor shall be known as the place where I rekindled my spark. The place where I, once again, became el artista. Con esperanza y determinación, Sergio Navarro.
Sophia smiled and shook her head in awe. Sergio's words and emotions resonated deeply. His struggles, ambitions, and grit felt all too familiar to her. Her connection to El Artista felt more powerful than ever. Perhaps it was truly him who had called out to her in her dreams. Sophia snapped a series of photos inside the conservatory, then set up her camera on the tripod once more to document this breakthrough in her investigation.
Here I stand, inside La Casa Creación. Despite the effects of time, the manor lives on. Overgrown, abandoned, but still beautiful, rich with stories to unfold, which brings me to this. The journal of Sergio Navarro. Perhaps the truth lies within its pages.
Sophia was startled by a crow that zipped above her head and landed on a broken pane of stained glass. The bird tilted its head before locking eyes with her. Sophia gasped, then recomposed herself and crept towards it to investigate. Before she could get too close, the crow soared back into the starry night sky. Taking a moment to catch her breath, Sophia's attention shifted to the shattered stained glass window where the crow had perched. The colorful glass was more than it appeared. It was an incomplete art piece, likely crafted by the hands of Sergio Navarro. The image depicted a woman with dark, luscious hair, though her face belonged to a missing piece of glass that must have broken off over time. A breeze slipped through the shattered window, turning several pages of Sergio Navarro's journal. Sophia returned to it, reading the thoughts penned on the open page.
Sunday, April 27, 1884. The return of my creative flame. Ideas are flowing through me in ways I had forgotten were possible. Me siento inspirado. I've rediscovered my spark hidden in the shadows of la Casa Creación, confirming that my decision to come here was not only wise, pero necesario. The manor holds a comforting warmth, one that makes my brush strokes come with ease. It feels like something, alguien, is here with me, guide in my hand. Whatever it is, I welcome it, con brazos abiertos. El invernadero de conservatory is my haven, a place where my thoughts can wander and my creativity can breathe. Here I will create my finest work. Within the conservatory, surrounded by the growth of life, is where my art will rise from the ashes. Hasta que hablemos otra vez. Sergio Navarro.
Whatever presence Sergio had sensed within the conservatory was now making itself known to Sophia. Perhaps it was her mind playing tricks, or the weight of the tragedy woven into la Casa Creación's history pressing down on her soul. Either way, the presence was undeniable. Carefully stepping over some debris and pushing through overgrown plants, Sophia reached a darker, damper corner of the conservatory. There, she discovered a collection of statuaries alongside stacks of both finished and unfinished paintings. Blown away by her discovery, Sophia examined the art pieces and once again found the initials SJN carved into them. These were more of Sergio Navarro's works, somehow undiscovered or left to decay in loneliness. The statues, once carved with precision, were now mostly destroyed, their original forms lost to time. It was difficult for her to discern their shapes. One resembled an animal of some kind whose anatomy consisted of wires and machinery, while another appeared to have been a mime with a sinister grin. One thing was certain: nature had claimed these creations that were once crafted by the hands of the iconic artist. Some paintings in the pile, however, remained recognizable. Even more striking, the paint on their canvases looked fresh, much like the painting Sophia had found in the studio. Though they stylistically were on par with Sergio's previous works, their subject matter was darker, more somber, tragic, and horrifying, unlike his previous work that was beloved by the people of Spain. One painting depicted a city in chaos, its citizens transformed into rabid, mutated monsters. Another showed a masquerade ball where cloaked fiends bathed in the blood of their victims. What drove the artist to explore such nightmarish themes in his art? Sophia looked to Sergio Navarro's journal for answers.
Wednesday, August 6th, 1884. Whispers cling to la Casa Creación like ivy. I never believed in any of it. Ghost stories, the supernatural. Nunca, even as a child. I saw the world as a bleak, practical canvas. one where magic had no place outside of the human imagination, until I stepped inside this manor. What I felt wasn't fantasy, it was real. The ghosts of the past linger. At first, they came in flashes, faint images, fragments in my dreams. Then I started hearing them, feeling them, hovering, watching, guiding my hand as I worked, begging to be seen, to be remembered through my art, mi arte. Their hands glide with mine now, cada pincelada, every stroke of my brush, guided by their own dying will to live. Perhaps this is the purpose I was searching for. They are the fire that brought my passion back. Los muertos of la Casa Creación are my muse. Their stories deserve to be told, and I will tell them.
Sofia's understanding of La Casa Creación and Sergio Navarro's tragic downfall grew clearer. Sergio Navarro had become attached to a presence dwelling within La Casa Creación's withered walls, an influence that seeped into his art, whether literally, as the famed artist claimed, or metaphorically. Either way, it played a role in his descent into madness. The visions that haunted his mind, the visitors in his sleep, the whispers he heard, all felt eerily familiar to Sofia. Was she heading down a similar path, her art darkening alongside her plunge into insanity? As the storm approached and the night deepened, Sofia's sense of unease intensified. But she had come too far and uncovered too much. She had to document everything she had experienced. She whispered into the camera while once again raising the journal into frame.
I'm starting to see the truth. The stories of this place may be more than just legend.
Sofia was greeted by a black cat slipping into the conservatory through a gap in the wall. Its eyes were clouded, now a milky white, and its fur was matted. The cat inched closer, and Sofia cautiously reached out her hand. It nuzzled her palm warmly, as if relieved to feel a human touch after a long, lonely existence. Though its ragged appearance was that of a stray, the cat wore a collar with a faded address etched onto it, Crooked Lane. She yanked her camera from the tripod and adjusted her lens to focus, but just as she was about to capture the perfect shot, a sudden wave of visions flooded her mind. Her camera fell to the dusty floor as she winced in pain, ears ringing and vision clouded. The images that sabotaged her mind were similar to the ones she'd seen in her dreams, only these felt less welcoming and more intrusive. Obscure shapes and colors flashed about chaotically, eventually shifting into pictures of true form. They were silhouettes of cloaked ghouls with fiendish visages and sharp, inhuman teeth. They were reaching towards her within a dark void, eager to make their presence known to her. She couldn't fight them, and the pain worsened with each step they took. She was pulled from the surreal episode by a whisper that was similar to the one she had heard before, but this time, more urgent and commanding in nature.
Sofia.
Her vision stabilized and she caught her breath. The intruding visions were gone, if only for a moment, as was the black cat, who surely retreated into the wooded abyss. Sofia took a deep breath before reaching down for her camera. A lightning strike cracked in the air, shaking the rubble within the conservatory and plunging the room into darkness. Sofia found herself swallowed by the shadows, with only a sliver of moonlight filtering through a stained glass window. She motioned towards the hallway, but a guttural sound, more horrifying than the lightning, froze her in place. A feral roar echoed through the night, followed by the heavy, labored flapping of massive wings. Sofia had never heard anything like it before, and this wasn't a vision, it was real. The creature roared once more as it crashed through the conservatory's glass ceiling. Sofia ducked for cover, pressing her back up against a nearby statue, hand clamped tightly over her mouth. She struggled to control her panicked breathing. The creature's movements echoed like cracking stone, and beneath its monstrous growls was a pained wail similar to that of a human soul. Summoning courage, Sofia peeked around the statue to catch a glimpse of the beast that stalked her. It was a gargoyle, fully articulated, chiseled in stone, and alive, with a pulsing glow beaming from within. Light seeped through its eyes and the fissures in its rocky form. It furled its wings and prowled the conservatory, stalking its prey, drawing closer with every labored step. 𝗁𝗶𝗃 fought to steady her breath. The creature was just behind her, so close she could feel the heat of its monstrous breath. The gargoyle halted, as if ready to return to the hellish depths from which it came, but the moment of silence was shattered by an incoming sound that made 𝗁𝗶𝗃's heart drop. The signal of her camera dying. The gargoyle let out a blood-curdling roar as 𝗁𝗶𝗃 made a break for it. She sprinted down the connecting hallway, her heart pounding, finally determined to escape whatever dark evil lurked within the Casa Creación walls. Frantically, she searched for a way out, struggling to retrace her steps through the mounting panic. But each hallway twisted into another, only to loop back again. The manor had become a shifting maze, its architecture morphing before her eyes. Was she truly losing her sanity, much like the Artista before her? She stopped for just a moment to look to 𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗃's journal for guidance. She flipped through its pages in desperation before landing on another journal entry. The date was
August 29.
𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗃's urgency jumped off the page of this entry.
Cuando caiga el sol, when the sun sets on la Casa Creación tonight, I can't promise what will follow. A deep fear has taken over me. Lo malo, the presence I uncover here feels stronger than ever. All this time, I mistook their guidance for inspiration, but it was manipulation. The ghosts want to use my work to tear through the veil.
As 𝗁𝗶𝗃 read his words, the surrounding walls came alive, their texture withering like aged pages of the journal within her hands. 𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗃's writings were beginning to fuse with the manor's anatomy, his words glowing through the wallpaper.
This can't be real. This can't be real. Estoy perdiendo la mente.
She whimpered to herself in utter fear. 𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁's words not only appeared on the walls, but echoed through the hallway, as did the groans of the spirits and ghouls of la Casa Creación.
I will search deep within myself to fight the storm that lies ahead. No matter how lost my mind becomes, there must be a root to the evil that exists here. I will uncover it and find the will to destroy it before it's too late.
The groans of the dead grew louder. Shadows crept along the weakened walls of the manor, closing in on 𝗁𝗶𝗃 from every direction. She was being swallowed by the ghosts of the past. Just as she teetered on the edge of madness, the mysterious voice called out to her again. This time, its tone was clear and unmistakable.
The roots will guide you.
It was 𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁's voice, no longer a distant echo, but speaking directly to her. Running along both sides of the hallway were overgrown roots that had infiltrated the abandoned manor. 𝗁𝗶𝗃 followed them, pushing past the horrors that demanded her attention. The roots led her back to the conservatory. Thick overgrowth infiltrated the space from every imaginable angle. Wisteria vines, heavy with thorns, twisted tightly around the decaying remnants of old art and botany equipment that remained. 𝗁𝗶𝗃 could feel the beating heart of la Casa Creación, the evil deeply rooted within, accompanied by a chilling symphony of ghoulish wails. Frantically, she pulled out her camera and pressed record, desperate to capture what she was witnessing.
La Casa Creación is evil. Something horrific festers within these walls. It got into 𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁's mind, and now it's getting into mine.
Without warning, a vine snatched 𝗁𝗶𝗃's camera from her hands. Another strand of wisteria yanked her necklace right off her neck, snapping it clean. She tried to make a run for it, but found herself trapped, her foot tightly bound by a root bursting through the ground beneath her. Looming in the shadows just beyond her was the bat, the black cat, and the crow she had encountered earlier. They crept into the moonlight and began to transform into monsters before her eyes. The bat morphed into a humanoid figure, its ornate cloak shimmering eerily in the pale light. The cat rose onto its hind legs and expanded in size, as did its oozing fangs. The crow spread its bony wings, its red eyes piercing 𝗁𝗶𝗃's soul. Creatures of the night, transformed into abominations, the origins of horror. The gargoyle that had stalked her earlier let out a guttural growl once more and crashed down into the conservatory, shattering the remaining ceiling panels. Shards of stained glass scattered across the ground. The incomplete stained glass mural of the woman she had seen before was now fully formed in broken fragments at her feet. Sophia's eyes widened in terror. The woman, the stained glass portrait, was her. In a panic, she reached for Sergio's journal.
Sergio, help me!
As soon as she grasped it, the journal crumbled to ash in her hands, impossibly fading into nothingness. Along with it, the connecting hallways, rooms, and walls of La Casa Creación vanished, leaving only the conservatory suspended in the wooden abyss. Everything she had seen beyond the conservatory no longer existed. It had never truly existed. Only the dark heart remained, cloaked in its haunting stained glass beauty. Roots and vines consumed more of the room around her. That's when she noticed something that left her awestruck. On the ground by her feet, unfazed by the overgrowth consuming the conservatory, was a ripped page of Sergio Navarro's journal. She stretched her arm out with all of her will to pick it up. The date was August 29, 2025. A chilling message lined the top of the page.
Sofía, escucha mis palabras. Heed my warning.
With bated breath, she read the words Sergio Navarro had penned to her.
La Casa Creación is no more. Only the conservatory and the evil that exists within remains. An evil that I encountered firsthand. But I wasn't the first. The spirits that roam these grounds, the very ones that used my artwork as a bridge into our world, were artistas such as myself. It is the birthplace of malice, of fear, of the origins of horror. And now it has called to you, Sofía, as have I.
Thunder boomed loudly as rain began to pour through the shattered glass ceiling. The storm had finally arrived, and with it, Sophia's chilling realization. Her camera, struggling to stay functional, suddenly began to flash uncontrollably, snapping pictures of the horrors encircling her. Through the viewfinder, Sophia saw the faces of dozens of ghouls yearning to break through the lens into her world. As the flashes intensified, Sophia was once again haunted by intrusive visions, glimpses of a dark void where the silhouette of a man drew closer to her. His clothes were tattered and smeared with thick streaks of ink, his hair wild and unkempt. With each vision, he edged nearer. Sophia forced her eye open and glanced down at the camera once more. In the viewfinder, captured in the center of the camera's frame, perfectly in focus, was the man, no longer in silhouette, fully recognizable. That's when she felt a cold touch on her shoulder. The hair on her neck stood still.
Mi arte vivirá. My